What do you reckon we, Gil? Shall I try and get this engine running today? You gonna supervise? Yeah? Alright. You do the supervising, I'll do the working and talking rubbish. Okay, good morning everyone. Saturday morning, it's about 9:30. I'm gonna fill that hole up with that starter motor over there. And let's see if we can't get this thing running. I'll have to set up my camera. Alright, so 2 bolts there for the starter motor. And that's going to go end up in that hole down there. Then I've got to organise hooking up the fuel line. So what I'm going to do, I'm pretty sure the radiator's dry, but I'm going to get a drain pan and pull off the bottom hose and just get whatever's in it out. Pull off this hose, pull off the battery mount. These battery clamps here, hopefully that's focusing, are actually part of this battery mount here. And there's another hose underneath, and there's no point in crawling under the vehicle to access it because A, I don't like crawling down on the ground. It just hurts the old body a bit too much, but B, the diff and suspension and everything's in the way anyway, so I can access it all from up here. I just got to move a few things out of the way. Snow's making sure that it... What do you reckon, Gil? Is it coming out okay? Hey? Oh, let's get the bit on the floor. Yummy, nice and rusty coloured. So there was a bit of... I'm not going to call that coolant. I'm just going to say that's water. Doesn't feel like coolant. What do you reckon, sweetheart? I'll have to just make sure she doesn't lick it. It's an oil drain pan, but there was a bit of oil in there. But yeah, look at the colour of that water. So it's going to need a flush anyway. Hey babe, hey, good papa. She's just going to head off now and do perimeter patrol. Yum. That is the... Trying to... I don't know. Thunder pause. She's got to check it all out. What's that bit grub on you? No. Don't want that on your nose. Good girl. No. Good girl. So I don't know if you can see that sludge in there. You can see it at the end, I know, but I might actually... I brought it outside to... I can see right up there, but the camera's not picking up on it very well. But yeah, that is... I'll just show you. That is sludge. There's debris in there. Nothing significant, but nevertheless. And that is an engine that hasn't been run in a long time. The other side's just got some rust. This hose itself has got steel windings inside it to prevent it from collapsing. But yeah, this whole cooling system's going to need a flush. That hose should be the perfect size for that. It should slide on fairly well. Yep, and with a clamp, that'll be no problems. So that hose I don't have to touch. I've already pulled off the main hose, which is feeding from the tank. So this one here, I'm going to use as my main hose. It's actually the return hose. And this one here is the hose that feeds the diesel pump. And it is just absolutely rooted. it's so squishy, like I'm pretty sure that would leak. That feels like it's actually a hole in it. Yeah, it's been rubbing. I might not need to remove this battery tray now. I just needed to remove that hose, that radiator hose. So there's the, all right, diesel's coming out. Well, that's a good sign. And it looks like there's one more screw down there. It's just sitting there doing nothing. Alright, so let me just get these hoses sorted out because I need both hands. I'm trying to film as much as I can for you, but there's just nowhere to put the camera and just get on with it. So sorry about that, but I should hopefully be able to set it up once we get to the actual trying to get the engine running. This is just me trying to get the engine ready to begin to try to get it running. Okay, so here's where we are. Just going to take the torch off charging for a second. Starter motor's in, and my new battery cable there is hooked up to it, that one there. Well, that video ended abruptly. I must have touched something with my hand. I'm not too sure what happened there. It just turned off. Where was I? So yeah, I'll crack the injectors and hook up the battery. Hopefully this will reach my positive terminal. I'm using a right hand post positive, so the post is closer to the engine. Typically you want the negative post this side, but who cares, right? And I'm pretty sure it goes on that way, so I'll have to just shuffle the battery over, use this one again, and hopefully I'm not losing any voltage down to the starter motor this time, because I was losing 1 volt. I was using that one, which was going through this solenoid here, which is to do with the ignition circuit, and then from this one here, you can see how rusty it is in there. It's horrible. From that one there, I had this one, and this one went down to the starter. So this needs a good clean up and everything, and you know, the cabling there is all frayed and broken. So, you know, that's probably where I was losing my voltage. But I did suspect that solenoid, because when I bypassed all those cables and just used my jumper cable straight to the starter motor, I was still losing over 1 volt from the battery. So let's hope this time this is going to give me a nice healthy crank. There's diesel there. The engine does turn over, I know that much. So I'll crack these injectors now. Look at how grubby you are, your little face. The injectors are cracked. This is not ideal. I've just thrown my broom handle under there to not put strain on this. I knew it wasn't going to reach, but I just thought, you know, let's just hope. So what I'm doing is I'm just finishing tightening this up. I just wanted to get Snow because she's covered in sand. She's probably been digging. I'm just finishing tightening this up. Then I'm going to do a voltage drop test. That battery is fully charged at exactly 12.6. So I do have another one over there. That one there is nice and charged, but worst case scenario, I'll just have to throw it on the charger. We'll see in a minute. Let me just do my voltage test, tighten this terminal and do the test. So I've got 12.6 volt there, at the 2 earths, and at the terminal on the solenoid. So it should be looking good now to giving me full cranking amps transferred through to that starter. Now I've just got to find my ignition switch, which is down here somewhere, hopefully. Okay, let's see how we go. So what I'm going to do is, the injectors are cracked, and the idea of that is to bleed the air out, and then also when I see fuel, hopefully I'll see fuel coming to the injectors, then I know that fuel's there, and then it's a matter of retightening them up and seeing if it'll fire. So, here's hoping. Alright, I'm seeing some smoke from somewhere, but that is sounding like a really healthy crank. That's way better than what it was cranking. That's not hot. Oh, something's hot down here. What's hot? The terminal's not hot. The solenoid is not hot. That bloody, I think my feed wire might be earthing out on the body of the starter, because I did have to stretch it because that solenoid is actually not like for like. Okay, I had a look down there. Hang on, let's just try and, so let me just, that's better. So that, I'll see if I can just sit this here for a second. So that main piece of wire that goes from the body of the starter to the back of the solenoid, that's getting hot. Now I can't feel any temperature increase in the body of the starter motor or in the solenoid or even on the terminal. It's not touching anything either, like it's not actually arcing out on the body. I'm wondering if it's because it's been stretched to get onto that terminal. The good news is that you can start to see dampness coming here, which means diesel's coming up. So let me give it another crank and see if we can see some diesel. I might just open the injectors up slightly more, just a little bit more to make it more obvious. When your crow's feet type spanners or pipe spanners are best for these, but because they're so large, if you're gentle enough with them, you're not going to round them, but using an open end spanner isn't the best. So let's just see if we can see a little bit of diesel. I'll just crank for another few seconds. Oops. I want to actually see diesel squirting out, because I might have to go under and see if there's any sort of priming pump on this diesel pump. I haven't looked at that. I can't see anything from the top. They're usually on Toyotas. They're real obvious to grab. I'll just check that that's... There's a bit of heat in that thing, eh? I don't like it. When I say this has been the first starter I've ever pulled apart, I mean that. Like, I've never replaced a solenoid on a starter before. That one there is the starter motor that came with my 12HT. Now what I did is I did a whole lot of research, and I realised that the internal parts of the Toyota starter motors of that era were typically used right across many different makes and models. So I tracked down a 3B 24 volt starter motor, pulled the guts out of it, swapped it over with my 12HT housing, and voila, I had a really good starter motor. And that was the first time I'd ever pulled a starter motor down to that level. And they don't have a solenoid the way these ones do. So this one that I've done is the first time I've ever done a solenoid replacement on a starter motor. In the past, all I've ever done with starter motors, and I've done heaps of this, is just go and find a second-hand starter motor. But the because I'm dealing with older vehicles now, that is just not easy to do. For example, I mean, this solenoid, it's actually cost me $95 just for the solenoid. Now, on Trade Me at the moment, there's a complete refurbished starter motor for over $500. That's a refurbished one. So that's someone who has I might just throw this on charge as well. That is someone who's obviously, you know, refurbished to me would mean they've done the bearings, they've done the brushes, new solenoid, all that sort of stuff, right? But they want over $500. I mean, I could buy a brand new one, OEM quality, for cheaper than that. I've found them. So just because it's an original starter motor, why would I want to buy a refurbished one with who knows what has happened to it in terms of what this person's done, because I don't trust people. You know, you pay, at least if I bought one from a company, yeah, okay, it might be Chinese, but at least I've got a comeback. I can go back and, you know, hey, look, this isn't working properly, or this failed, but you try and buy a second-hand one off Trade Me, you're just asking for problems. So, I mean, I'd rather do it myself and learn how to do it anyway.